All right, everybody, you ready to start? One and one. March 13th, time is 5:34. And call this meeting to order. In case anybody hasn't seen what we're doing, Norman has a hearing amplifier now, so hopefully we will not have hearing anything.
Yes.
So without further ado, can we go ahead and call this meeting order and let's get the ball rolling.
Here.
Also, I'd like for your consideration, we have a new member application. His name is Jerry White, this gentleman right here, with the teal bandana. We will be having to submit the application for your approval and voting probably at a later time. Because we have a full agenda. We have a guest speaker, April Watt, and we're also blessed with the attendance of our chairwoman of the COC, Kathy.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
So, okay, let's start our consent agenda.
Good evening. So glad everybody showed up. Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda? Do we have any questions or corrections? Anything anybody would like to comment on or discuss?
Yes, we have.
Y'all are the voters for right.
We're good.
Okay. No comments, no questions?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
There's a motion to approve. Can we get a second?
I second.
Jennifer seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All nays? Any abstaining? Motion approved.
I got one. Thank you very much.
Share this.
Excellent. I love quick and easy agenda items. Thank you all for that. There are a couple new faces in the room, so I'm so excited to see some new people. My name is Victoria Kelly. I am the Senior Manager of Advancement and Strategy with the Homeless Leadership Alliance of Pinellas, the HLA. And the HLA serves as the lead agency in the Pinellas Continuum of Care. The Continuum of Care is that group of organizations and individuals dedicated to ending homelessness in Pinellas County. Could somebody back in, please? Thank you, Chair Beckman. And we are all here today as part of the Continuum of Care. I'm really pleased that our committee here, the Lived Experience Advisory Committee, has been meeting for over a year and a half now. We are no longer even the newest committee within the Pinellas Continuum of Care, the Advocacy Committee is. So it's really exciting. So far, this committee has been through chartering, electing leadership, and re-electing leadership. Today, we are going to start something new. We are going to start approving membership applications. Last year, the process for becoming a member of this committee was really just attend a meeting and make sure that you apply to join the COC as a lived experience member. Then once you've attended a meeting, so long as we're not over our threshold of 20 members, you are a member. Absolutely, come on in, attend a meeting, get a stipend. This year, the committee decided to start doing membership applications for this committee as well. We are doing that to ensure that we have the robust, varied membership that this group chartered. This group put into this committee's charter that there would be a wide array of experiences, of backgrounds, because that's really how we effectively end homelessness. Not everybody's experience is the same, so not every solution is going to be the same. So I'm really happy that we have this first round of membership application approvals to review. There were a few additional applications, though, that came in as soon as the packet went out. Megan, did you print those applications out for everybody? Okay. So my question to everybody is, what we're gonna do here, I guess I'll start there, is everybody had the opportunity to review the membership applications in your packet. We are going to review and approve those as a slate. We are going to review and approve those membership applications as a slate. What that means is all at once. However, if there's an application in there that you want to pull out and talk about, we'll do that, okay? So let's say we have 5 applications and you think 1, 2, 4, and 5 are excellent, but you have some questions about application 3. We can pull application 3 out and we can talk about it as a group before we vote on that application. Want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to provide feedback and ask questions. Now, because we don't have an official department for 2025 yet, our real voters are going to be our leadership up here. But that doesn't stop this group from having feedback and getting feedback, okay? So, does anybody have a question about this process? No? All right, I'm assuming everybody heard.
Okay.
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 All right. So, my first question to you, Megan has just passed out some additional applications that were not included in the membership packet. We can consider these applications for membership today, or we can table the new applications until our next meeting in April, so that there is longer time to review, consider, come up with questions and that kind of thing. That is entirely the choice of the committee. If you would like to consider and add in the new applications today, or if we would prefer to table the new applications until April's meeting. Does anybody have any questions about the process or thoughts about what I've just said? No? All right, gonna give everybody a minute to look and think, and then Co-Chair Small?
Yeah. Also, I've asked Megan to bring in some of the applications because some of them weren't signed, some of them weren't checked. If you please correct that before you leave tonight. That way we can get your application on file and everything that we need to do, okay? That's all. I figured since we were talking about applications.
That's a great note. Additionally, if anybody would prefer to fill this out digitally, there is a digital option. You do not have to fill this out by hand. To be totally honest, it's a little bit easier for us if you fill it out digitally, but either way is 100% fine. It works for us. So, do we have any questions about the applications in front of you? My friend?
This application that we have in our hand is the exact same ones that we talked about doing online a few weeks ago. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Harvey, your question?
Yes, I see where I see where I did mine, but it doesn't have my phone number or email. Is that for a reason? Okay.
We redacted that information
Okay,
because we
that's what I was
post these
wondering.
packets on the website and we didn't
Yeah.
think that y'all would want your email and
Thank
phone
you.
number posted on
I
the
already
website.
get enough scam calls.
Isn't that right?
I do.
Yes, so Becky went ahead and redacted all of that, so none of that's online.
Yeah.
Good question. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Well, you're already done. Yeah, we're already.
So once this application has been completed, at what point do we is it determined whether or not your application's been approved?
Falling all over myself. That's a good question. So we have the membership application for the Continuum of Care in general. And that one comes to me, and then I send it to our new interim CEO here, Ms. Sherry Halsbacher. And then when Sherry approves it, I send it over here to COC Secretary, Ms. April Lott, who I'll introduce y'all to very soon. And then once that is approved, you are a member of the Pinellas Continuum of Care. We have a separate application for this committee as well. Most committees within the COC have separate committee applications so that people are really buying in and committing to do the work of that group. This committee here established that at the beginning of this year, the end of last year. I honestly don't remember when we came up with this, but so we started doing these membership applications, and this is the first time we are reviewing them. Yeah, this year. So the process is that these applications get filled out. The COC membership application gets filled out. Megan over here reviews the lived experience application, makes sure that it's all complete, reaches back out to you if you've forgotten some information. Then once that is done, she sends it to our fearless leadership up here. They review it, and once they approve it, we bring it to the group here. And the group here has an opportunity to ask questions and find out who are about to be their co-committee members. And, you know, to really make sure that this committee is functional and includes a lot of different voices from within our community. So great question, and I really hope that that answers that. And then once you are approved for membership, we do have a 20-person limit in this committee per charter. Once you are approved for membership, if you are a lived experience member of the COC, that means you have experienced homelessness within the last 7 years. You are officially eligible for stipends. And stipends for this committee are $25 per hour. And once a month, you can get a $10 gas card as well. If you do not have a car and you don't want a gas card, that's okay. We will get you a bus pass. If you need the $6 to $10 a month bus pass through PSDA, let me and Megan know. We'll get with you and we'll make sure that we work that out as well. I love questions. They're good.
So if you are confirmed and approved, then you will receive some type of an email, or what method of communication will you, how will you know when you're not approved?
For the committee, we're doing that right here in this room. So you'll know because you're right here in this room, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to knock it out right here. Yeah. For the actual continuum of care, that will be an email once the full approval comes through. You'll get an email from me that includes meeting dates and, you know, all kinds of things. All right. Any other questions? All right. Would you like to consider new applications, or would you like to take those?
Consider.
No, that's the new one. So Megan has a front copies of that one for everybody, Gary.
Yeah.
We have that copy. Yeah, so this one we have to take care of.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, just figuring out some logistics. Okay, so now that we're done with that, like I said, we don't really have a quorum in here from this group yet, but we will in just a moment. Do we have any questions about our members? Do you have any questions for our applicants? No? All right. In that case, then I would need the three of you to vote. If somebody wants to make a motion to approve, and then somebody second. The applicants.
Okay, I don't see the point.
That means you guys make a motion. And a second to the firm. You guys, they're not voting members. I don't.
Because there's nothing, if there's not.
They're all ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, just make a motion over.
Okay.
We needed a.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the memberships.
I'll make a motion.
So,
That's the motion.
We need a second.
And I'll second it.
okay. This one's set.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Any against? Any
Any
abstain?
nays? Any abstains?
I have to like this.
This one isn't working, so I need to take this one back. Sorry.
Take it.
I'll be honest, I wasn't quite, with it, so I'm not really sure what the motions were.
That's okay. The motion is to approve, the motion of the second were to approve the applications in front of you for membership for the committee. And so they asked if anybody said yay, if anybody said nay, or if anybody abstained. Did anybody want to say nay? No? Did anybody want to abstain? Which, as a reminder, means you are neither voting yes or no. You're just saying, I'm here, but I'm not voting. Abstain? No?
This is approved.
Yes, ma'am. This is to approve the whole slate of applications. Yes, ma'am. Okay? All right.
Thank you. How many total applicants are on this sheet that you're talking about?
Good question. Megan, how many applicants are?
I think there were eight in the packet, but then there two more like 10.
Yeah.
10.
So 8 and then 2 additional. So a total of 10. And there are a maximum of 20 members for this committee. That's voting members. Of course, anybody can come and participate in a meeting.
So the vote on the floor is a one vote all count?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if there had been, for instance, if we had wanted to pull a particular application, like I said in the beginning, to talk about a particular application, we could have. There are 10 applications there. If we wanted to talk about number 5, we could have just pulled number 5 out, had a little conversation about it, and voted on that separately. But as of right now, all 10 applications have been approved. We have 2 already that will be considered next month in April. If there are any other applications, please let us know, or if you need an application, please let us know. Next on the agenda, I'm excited to introduce you all to our Continuum of Care Secretary, Miss April Lott, who is also the President and CEO of Directions for Living, one of our biggest service providers here in Pinellas County. So welcome, Ms. Lott.
Thank you for having me. I've heard a lot about your committee and I'm pleased and honored to be here with you tonight. The topic that I wanted to raise and see if I could get some information and or feedback from you individually or collectively is, so we recently had the point in time survey, and some of the feedback that we received on point in time was that there were many individuals who were unwilling to participate in the questionnaire related to point in time. And the reason they cited that they were unwilling to participate is because of the new no camping bill, the new no camping law. And so I wanted to see if you had thoughts and or feedback, if that's something you are also hearing, that people are unwilling to participate in things like point in time, survey counts, as well as unwilling to participate, for example, in a BI SPDAT assessment tool. If you are also hearing those things, if you can speak to some of that for me, if you can help me help our community by being an advocate, I just need some information on what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what you're thinking about relative to that. Yes, sir.
I talked to several people that are not interested in participating in surveys for reasons like they're giving away their spot where they stay, or they don't want to use their specific name. If you could do something like that, sorry. If you could do something like that, that would be anonymous and not ask them for specific location where they're staying, you might get a better response. People are scared, you know what I mean? And that's what is really affecting their ability to participate in the program.
Yeah.
They need to, one, know that they're gonna be safe if they do so, and they're not gonna get arrested for what they're doing now. You know what I mean? That, I think that would be huge for your development of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the program is exactly about.
Yeah, do you also think, based on what you've heard, do you also think, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Do you also think that it is related to the no camping bill? In other words, you do think it's related to the no
That's
camping
what's
bill?
got everybody scared,
Okay.
because there's been drones flying around doing grid patterns, and they're looking for people camping. So that they know where everybody is, and they're gonna do like sweeps, what everybody's saying on the street. They're gonna come out one night, they're just gonna grab everybody and take them trespass, jail, whatever, safe harbor, all these things are negative for them as far as being on the street.
Okay, you are hearing those things?
Yes, ma'am, I'm on the
Okay.
street as well.
Okay, so I had never heard that, by the way. Thank you so much for your honesty and sharing that information with me about that there is some belief and or fear around drones, watching them and figuring out kind of their patterns and that there's gonna be this major sweep. Just so you know, I have not heard that before and I appreciate you sharing that with me. I'm gonna take that back. I have, you know, our relationship with the predominant law enforcement agency who's kind of driving the implementation and or the enforcement, which is the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. They have not shared that information, so I'm gonna check that out.
But even some of the sheriffs that I spoke to
Yeah,
have said they don't want to be doing this.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They have to, obviously. But the ability to create anonymity for the people participating in the survey would be huge for your ability to get information from.
right, okay, very good, thank you. Yes, ma'am, you're right.
Recently, this gentleman is 100% right on that. Recently, and I'm talking real recent, within this week, we had a homeless man riding through our park where we live. And he was going around asking people if he could stay there. And he would ride a three-wheeler, and he could walk really good, and he was about 6'4". And he was found sleeping in between two trailers up in where the build was. And thank God, one of the maintenance guys saw him and woke him up and told him he had to leave or else he's calling the police. Now, about 3 nights ago, me and Jack were at Walmart's. There was a young man when we were leaving, asked us if we could give him a ride across the street. So I kind of was a little hesitant, but we did it anyway. He hopped in the back. We dropped him off at a storage facility. And the reason he wanted to go there is because the police, he was homeless, and he said the police, and they do sweep Walmarts. Oh, yes, they do. They get every homeless person out of there. We see it all the time. And they are scared they will go to jail or whatever. He said he'd rather sleep in a storage shed, and a lot of homeless do if they have one, than go to jail. And he actually was a very nice guy. So I don't really know nothing about it, but he appreciated the ride. So yeah, he is right on that. They are scared. They don't want their location where they sleep, none of that, because they're afraid they're gonna be running out. Where are they supposed to go? I mean, they feel like they're backed up against the wall, you know, so I can relate to that, you know?
I agree as well. A
Yeah.
lot of people believe that safe harbor is worse than jail because the conditions are dangerous and your stuff is stolen and you're sleeping on your own self mask, stuff like that. So they don't want to go there. They're scared to go. That, you know, that is their decision.
I so appreciate how
Yeah.
candid and honest that you are being,
Yeah.
with this conversation, really.
Yeah.
Did you?
I also spoke to someone that has something very rare these days, and that is a spot where they have a tent.
Yeah.
And the reason they chose not to participate is because their biggest fear was officers coming back and destroying
Yeah, and they
this
do.
tent
Oh, they
that
do.
was not easy to come by for them.
They
Regardless
do.
of the reason,
They do.
that's over the top. These people have nothing. don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
What they do have.
And they were so afraid of losing the little
Yeah.
bit that they do have, the shelter that they've acquired, that they made sure they were like literally not to be found when it came time for the survey.
So, you know, again, and I can stay, I know I don't want to hijack your agenda. I can stay as long as you will allow me to stay to hear all of you, because I would love to hear from all of you. What I will say to that is, do you think that this fear of my tent will be destroyed, someone will go back and destroy my tent, is based on like word of mouth, or have they actually?
It's based on previous history.
Previous history.
Personally, myself, I've had them come to me in my tent in the woods. We did the survey. I was given water. I was even given a cigarette. They were great, and there were no repercussions. That's been a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That was before the camping ban was actually a law and we were on private property. So that could have been a different,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
So most of the fear is that law enforcement will come there and stuff, but not other.
Right, exactly. And you think it's based on, you think it's not necessarily only based on, or correct me if I'm getting this wrong, that it's based on word of mouth, but rather they have witnessed, they have experience
yes.
that these things occur,
Mhm.
as opposed to they are fearful that it might occur, they've actually witnessed it or experienced it in the past.
Well, ever since they had that big thing with the St. Petersburg police back in.
All those years ago,
two
yes.
Decades.
Yes,
now.
yeah.
But that's, everybody's got a story about that. And then a couple of times you see police maybe overstep their bounds, and now the story is locked in stone and nobody's trying to hear it, try to tell them different.
It depends on the officer.
Yeah.
I think, get something clear. Are these assessments and surveys? Is that on a sheet of paper, which like we people go around, know, and ask the person, or is this a sheet of paper which is given to them and say, please, would you help me fill out the survey?
It is actually both. So the point in time survey usually is done, we have a point in time survey like experts in the room, but generally the point in time survey is, you know, if I'm the surveyor, I'm holding the document, right? And I'm asking you if you would participate in answering the questions. There's no prohibition against you seeing the form and answering the questions all on your very own. So it can be done both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can kind of envision if some people are a little reluctant.
Sure.
You know, people are very defensive.
Yes.
About answering questions. and
Yes.
so on.
Yes. And we've known that for as long as we've been doing point in time, we've known that there is vulnerability and there's sensitivity around answering those questions for fear of, I don't know where the information is going, I don't know what you're gonna do with that information, those kinds of things. So that's existed for a very long time. Well, what this year, however, you know, the feedback was rather remarkable, differently than it has been in prior years, around this fear of this no camping bill. And because the information that I'm getting is from law enforcement and only from law enforcement. So what I'm being told is we don't have a problem. We're not harassing our homeless. We are educating our homeless. We are helping them, but we are not seeing a problem. In fact, they've outright said there is no problem with the implementation of this no camping bill. We have not arrested a single person. Nobody has been arrested or jailed under the no, not a single person. So the information that we're getting, right, is that this is not an issue. So when it became an issue during point in time, right, I'm like, I want to hear from someone other than the police who are responsible for enforcing. I want to hear from the lived experience committee to know where is what's different between what law enforcement is telling me and what people are actually experiencing on the streets.
Hi, on Roosevelt, actually, it's Frontage Road, right? East Bay Drive and Frontage Road for Walmart's.
Okay.
Not in US 19.
Yep.
The homeless would stay in those woods, in like the ditch kind of like thing. We saw the police take all their stuff and pile it right outside on the road. And it was like as high as like a mound, and threw away every bit of their stuff. And the police aren't so nice there. We have seen them, even to me, I actually spoke to an officer one time. He was really nasty. He thought he was the bad sheriff or something. But we have all kinds of people up here. But yeah, that was surprised me when I seen that they actually threw away their stuff. And you know, that's all I have.
Okay, so I actually have two questions, April, but the first one is, when the police tell you all of these things, you mentioned education. What are the police doing to educate the homeless, first of all, because I've never heard, seen, can't even conceive of that, and I know a lot of officers.
Yeah.
And second of all, for the point in time count, how are you counting people that are vehicle homeless? Because I've not encountered anyone with the point in time for the last two counts.
Both questions are excellent. So let me answer the first one. So the first one is, it's my understanding that this committee, in fact, worked on the education, document that you guys reviewed it, and the flyer that you reviewed it, that you approved it here at this committee. And that is the flyer then that has been distributed or is currently under distribution, final review with law enforcement. So that document came, it's my understanding, came before you, that you approved it, and that is the document that's being used to educate.
But it's not been distributed yet.
It has to go, we had our meeting last Friday.
Yeah.
And the board of directors liked your, flyer, and they want to run it by the sheriff for just a final glance before it gets distributed. Lieutenant Page is on our board, and he recommended that, and then we made the motion to approve your flyer contingent on any changes or review that, Nelson County Sheriff would do, and then.
Appreciate it.
So in the absence of that document, though, to answer your question directly, in the absence of that document, it is my understanding that all of law enforcement, originally it was going to be kind of these individual law enforcement departments. Instead of that, the sheriff's department got agreement from the majority of the mid-sized to larger size law enforcement agencies. So the city, I don't believe the city of St. Pete joined their efforts necessarily. The city of St. Pete has kind of taken a different position.
Yeah.
But that, that they're educating was going to be that, the thing that you already know, which is you can't be here dusk to dawn is what they've determined to be overnight sleeping. You cannot be in, you can't be in public locations overnight sleeping. If they find you overnight sleeping in public places, that they'll move you along. On the second go around, if they have to move you along again, they will issue a trespass. And on the third time, that there would be an arrest, but that they are looking at groups of 6 or more as opposed to individuals who are overnight sleeping in public places.
Right.
In that
Public property.
public property,
Public property, parks,
Right.
yeah, and that their feedback since October really has been that they are not witnessing, they are not observing, they are not seeing groups of 6 or more. They are not finding, these large numbers of people sleeping dusk to dawn in public places. And so from their vantage point or their perspective, there isn't a problem with this new no camping bill or this new no camping law. And so I hear that and I think that's amazing. That's wonderful. We were so frightened and so concerned that was going to be, terrifying for people. And then we have the point in time survey and we're hearing that people aren't taking the survey because they're afraid and fearful. So I'm like, what is the disconnect? There's something that's not making sense about the two stories.
But I think, and this is a question for you too, and I think people are going deeper into the woods. They're just hiding.
Well, they have to.
And
They are.
Because there's safety in numbers.
There is safety in
They weren't there to take that survey.
When you're out here on the streets, the more people you're close to, the safer you are. And they're out here educating people that if they see that, then they're gonna step in and disband them. But they don't get the other side of the coin.
Exactly, that you're safer in numbers, is your point. And so 6 or more makes you safer. And so in order to be safer, you're gonna go deeper into the woods because you want to be 6 or more because the safety is in the numbers.
Or even if I'm alone, I'm gonna go deeper into the woods because If I can't be safe in numbers, then I'm gonna be all by myself.
Exactly.
People, my question to you, when you said they, you was talking about specifically St. Petersburg policy that's going and the police.
No, when I said they, who I was really talking about is the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. So the city of St. Pete Police Department has taken a different approach, which is that, they're trying to use their resources to assist and to help as opposed to their PAC officers, their
Right.
street outreach team, others that are their call team, a variety of people who are assigned to assist, but that they are not trespassing and arresting and destroying people's stuff is what we're told. That's really happening from other law enforcement agencies who kind of joined the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office.
I believe you.
And the St. Pete police are allowing the homeless to sleep along the waterfront where they're very exposed. A lot of, during Christmas, they moved them out. And I go down there all the time, and at night. And all through the pier where there's a lot of money down there. So, but they're allowing the homeless, 1 or 2 or 3 on a bench. I've seen 4 or 5, and I talked to them,
Yeah.
gave them shirts when it was real cold weather, and they were very cautious.
Okay.
But I don't want to look like a police officer, so I let my beard go and I try to dress down a little bit. It works good.
Yeah.
But the police they're vigilant there, very vigilant. They'll follow me around.
Yeah.
But they know who I am already. I
Yeah.
recognize myself. But you have to be cautious there. It's more strict atmosphere.
Vigilant to move you along down there by the.
They'll check anybody out after, they check anybody out after dark downtown. Because there's so much business and so many, there's so much money.
Yeah.
Can I ask what people are experiencing Clearwater and Argo areas?
Well, I live in Clearwater, so I just told you.
Okay.
Yeah, and right there, we have a lot of homes coming through our park. It is,
Trying to get an answer to
Yeah.
the question I already asked.
it's all over the county.
Yeah, pretty commonly known that anyone who's homeless in the Largo area, the police will, they will come and talk to you pretty quickly. Before the road place.
So sorry. If I could please, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but if I could please ask everybody to please speak with the microphone, because there are some folks in this room that have a hard time hearing. So if we could please, one at a time and with the microphone, it'll just make sure that we're giving everybody an opportunity and that everybody can participate in the conversation. Accessibility is important.
And that's one of our rules.
It's also one of the rules. Thank you.
So back to my question about how did or did the PIT crew, did they count people in vehicles? People like myself that live in a vehicle but did not get counted?
Yeah, Victoria's gonna need to answer that question for us. I will say before she answers that, vehicular homeless has been a concern of many of us for a very long time. There are, like Gulfport and Treasure Island and a couple others who are noticing and or who have observed quite a few vehicles. In fact, they're trying to find property that would not be considered public, and be in trouble to provide people with an actual place.
I would
Because
go
we had
there.
previously heard, for example, to your point earlier, that Walmart would allow vehicles there and allow
Yeah.
people to sleep in their vehicles, and that some of that is changing.
Yeah.
But Victoria, how did we count people living in cars?
Great question. So, in case anybody doesn't know, Point in Time is one of my projects, in the HLA with the COC. So we train our volunteers that we do survey people who are in cars. However, cars are a little bit different. If you see somebody sleeping in a car, we tell our volunteers, do not go up and knock on the window. Don't wake people up. What we tell our volunteers in PIT training, point in time training, is imagine that somebody is knocking on your door in the middle of your day. How do you react and how do you wish that they had actually come and spoke to you? Because if somebody knocks on the door in the middle of my workday, my answer is, who are you? Why are you here? And can you please go away? Because I'm in the middle of my workday and my dog is yelling. So we tell our volunteers to be very conscientious. So if it looks like, for instance, as though you are in your car and you are sleeping, somebody will probably just walk straight past it. And some communities do what is called an observational count. In some communities, they would, for instance, go, oh, looks like one person is sleeping in that car. Tick, that's one.
Okay.
We do not do that in Pinellas County because I don't actually know how to tell if somebody's experiencing homelessness by looking at them. That's not an obvious thing. Some days I go out and I look really dressed up. Other days I go out and I don't look really dressed up. You can't tell if somebody's experiencing homelessness just by looking at them. So we don't do that in Pinellas County. In Pinellas County, we have a full survey. And the full survey allows us to collect more than just that, okay, there's one body in this one place. It allows us to say, okay, there is a veteran who is a senior, who is all by himself and has disabilities in this location. How do we target services to ensure that that person is no longer experiencing homelessness? That's why we have the big long survey here. And that is probably why nobody has approached you if you are actively in your vehicle. On that note, though, I would love feedback at a future meeting as to how we can better interact with people in that situation, because we have literally never one time surveyed all of Pinellas County. That is a dream. That would be fantastic. But we have 350, 400 volunteers that go out there on one day to survey people. And Pinellas County is a big place. So they just start taking it all. I hope that answered that question.
Okay, other things for me, any other feedback that you want to, are there differences, particular differences? I've appreciated some of the differences that you've expressed around if you're in Largo versus if you're in Clearwater versus if you're in St. Pete. You know, who's in terms of law enforcement and enforcement, who's being kinder, who's being harsher, you know, those kinds of things. And understanding about these drones, again, where did that information, do you think, come from?
Well, for a brief period, right, sorry. For a brief period, right after the, October 2nd, I think is when the amendment started, we saw them out, a lot of them. And so everybody had an opinion on it. Nobody knew for sure.
Okay, very good. But I appreciate that, you know, feedback, that it nonetheless is a concern for many. Okay. All right, other things that you want me to know that you can share with me?
So this is actually also prior to the bill going into law. When I was living in my car or out driving around, I did notice like, Clearwater police, Largo, like at 11 o'clock at night or midnight, like they would stop people. Just for walking with a backpack.
They do.
And I've seen that in Clearwater and Largo, and more than one. Like I've literally seen like 4 or 5 deal with one homeless person and check their stuff.
Oh, actually go through their things?
Yeah,
Yep.
Violate the law.
they do. They
So
do.
my question is like, everybody's got a different schedule. So if I decide I'm bored and, you know, I can't sleep and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I feel safe enough and I go out walking, am I gonna get stopped? And, you know,
If you're in Largo, you are.
or Clearwater, definitely, I saw mainly
bad
Clearwater. For me, when I was homeless or unhoused, I was in the more Clearwater area. And I would say as far as, demeanor goes and how, I know I was treated, I was patronized, you know, made it and, you know, yeah.
Finish your thought, made to.
It just made me feel like I was like just,
less than,
Yeah,
okay.
Should share the same rights as everyone else.
I'm very sorry that that happened to you. I am very sorry. That is not who we are as a community. It's not who we should be as a community. Thank you for sharing that with us, and just from me to you, I want you to know that I'm sorry that that happened. If you were ever made to feel
I
that
appreciate
way.
it. And that's actually, what has, inspired me to, or, you know, I actually had a remarkable woman that, inspired me to start showing up to city council meetings and speaking up about the treatment, of the unhoused, people that go to Safe Harbor. I, you know, started, cause I came here in August of 2021 and, went to Safe Harbor and was, yeah, that's a whole, that's like at least a couple of minutes in the way I was treated, and I started a petition. And, so, yeah.
You know, I would maybe like to be on an agenda in the future to have a conversation about Safe Harbor. It's probably not, we're probably out of time for tonight. But I would like to come back with your permission, as a committee and be on your agenda to talk about Safe Harbor, to hear your thoughts and, feedback. Did you have one other thing you wanted to say to me relative to the other?
Well, the time is kind of coming
Okay.
on, but
Okay,
I've got thoughts.
okay, okay.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you
that
for
would be great.
coming.
That would really be great.
Yeah.
Well, conversation, you're thinking, you're talking about how the police, St. Pete Police Department. You'd be like, we're talking to you about, while they not threatening. And I think it might be because they don't want to start arresting people, have bad publicity. And maybe the town mayors and such, because the object of the legislation doesn't appear to be to take you all in. It appears to try to force town to create places so they're not visible in public. And the way they incentivize that is to have businesses file suit against the cities and towns so that people aren't visible if they are. So I'm thinking the cities and towns, through their police department, are telling people, don't worry too much about it. They don't want to get, cities and towns don't want to get sued. But I'm concerned, I want to find out if you heard from the state police, who have a much larger area, including Pinellas, if they're doing the same thing as the locals, not telling people not to worry about it. I know there's a lot of state-owned land in Pinellas County, and throughout the state that's nearby, so they
So what
control those areas.
So what Michael is referring to is, of course, the part of the no camping bill that states that, you know, if a business owner, really it's anybody, but business owners who were complaining about people who were living or sleeping overnight in their archways, in their, you know, behind their businesses, in front of their businesses, what have you, that they could file a lawsuit against the city or the municipality that didn't provide a place for people to sleep safely, and it had to have a variety of things attached to it, running water, for example, showers, mental health services, and other things. I will say, I think we've lost sight of those elements, quite frankly, and I think we lost sight of those elements because of a variety of reasons. So there might be something to what Michael is asking, except that what I would say to that is, by simply telling people who are living outside or sleeping overnight in public places not to worry about it, it doesn't really change the experience of the business owner or the homeowner or people who could file suit. To my knowledge, there's been no lawsuits filed against a local municipality. I haven't heard of one statewide, actually, but that there's been no lawsuits actually filed. And so I think absent a lawsuit, there might be this message of, don't worry about it, and there's gonna be these, you know, kind of passive aggressive strategies as opposed to actually arresting people and putting people in jail. But if a lawsuit is filed, I do think that we would start to see far more aggressive behavior around implementing or enforcing the law. And so in the absence of a lawsuit, by the way, you could file a lawsuit if you know, or someone who is living without a safe place to sleep at night that is not deep in the woods with 6 other people because the municipality where you live hasn't provided you with that space, you too could file a lawsuit.
But they will say they provided that space and it's called safe harbor.
Yeah, that'd be the excuse.
That's
Yeah.
unless you're a family. So you are correct about that. I would say that a good attorney, right? We'll talk about safe harbor another night. But if you were a good attorney, right, that safe harbor in fact is not an emergency shelter. Safe harbor is a jail diversion program.
It is.
And so we would need somebody who was really wise and who understood the difference between an emergency shelter for the individuals who are living without homes and a jail diversion program. There's a pretty big difference between the two.
The lady that runs Safe Harbor is very resentful that it's now considered a shelter. She's extremely resentful about it. And she has no problem telling you that or showing you.
I appreciate your honesty on Safe Harbor. You're the first person that has sit there and said exactly what that place is. And we have everyone that has experienced that. I have never experienced Safe Harbor, but I've been there. So I like cringed when I walked in there. I said, oh, because I went to go see someone there. And it totally like freaked me out. And you're the first person that actually was telling the truth about that place. There's a whole lot of work that needs to be done there. I'm really disappointed in Pinellas County, for one, Trinity Cafe, where we usually go, a lot of us go there. They used to have showers and they can get a change of clothes. I went to take clothes, men's clothes. I have access where I live. People give me clothes. They know what we do. And I had nice clothes to take there for anyone that might need it. We were told not to bring no clothes. They no longer do showers there. They just do the lunches. And Gary, you know what that's all about. And I think it's a crying shame because that was the only place that I know of in St. Pete where they can get a hot shower at least twice a week, you know, and a change of clothes. Now they can't even do that. So what do they want the homeless to do? You know, you probably have an answer, Gary. Yep. Okay, good for you next.
Okay. I've informed numerous people, including the people down there by Trinity, that First United Methodist up on 49th Street, 90th Avenue North, across the street from the methadone clinic. For some reason, everybody seems to know where that's at. They have laundry, they have a hot
Awesome.
meal, and they have showers
Good.
on Wednesdays.
Okay, that's good to know.
Told probably countless people there, and I would like to reiterate, because I spend most of my time talking with the homeless and out in the community, that biggest problem they have with taking the point in time counts was the fact that they're afraid that that information will get shared with law enforcement, and that's gonna put them on the quote unquote hit list. You know, because now they're gonna have a name, now they're gonna know that they're in that, it's gonna put them on the radar list. So they're afraid to even give their name, they don't wanna talk about approximately where they stay, because they're afraid that information is being shared with law enforcement. And that's actually a quote, that's gonna put them on the hit list. Where they're gonna start, their police will know, okay, John Doe is, you know, this and that, well, okay, I've got 40 people saying that they stay in Gulfport, where are they gonna stay? Now they look for that type of group. That's probably what you're running into. I've gotten that from a consensus, well, between Trinity, between the church, And that here and various places that I visit, doing PR work and try to inform people. But I've tried to inform numerous people. I think there's been several in this committee. Norman has seen me up there at the church at the United Methodist every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. You get a hot shower, you can do, the church will send a representative down to the laundromat. They'll pay for a full load of laundry, wash and dry, they'll even supply you with the soap, showers.
That's
They
great.
provide you body wash.
That's good.
At least we have someone doing that. Unfortunately, Trinity quit doing that because people were smoking crack and
They
meth
were-
in the back
They
of
were
the
doing
place.
drugs.
And they had to stop that
Yeah.
because the surrounding businesses would have them declared a nuisance business because they're right next door to an elementary school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they couldn't have that. I personally reprimanded one woman one time, sitting there, hitting a crack pipe, looking like 130 foot from a group of elementary school
Yeah.
kids through a fence, watching them play, sitting there smoking. Like, man, what are you doing? You're on church property. You're within 300 foot of this church, within 300 foot of the school. You just elevated to a felony twice over. You
Yes,
know, and all she cared about was I was disturbing her.
yeah.
That's why the church put that out. So,
I
Anyhow.
appreciate hearing you saying about the hit list.
Yeah.
I do want to say to you, to all of you, and for your information, for your edification, to be able to share with others. Not that it will make a big difference, right? But I do just want you to know that information from the pit is 100% confidential. It is not shared with the police. The police have no access to our data system. They will never be given access to our data system. We would fight that till the end of time for all the same reasons and fears that you've expressed here. We would never allow that. It's never happened. It never will happen. I would say, you know, it'd be over my damn dead body. In any case, so, however, with that said, I do appreciate the fears because of the way the law is written. But I do just want to make sure I'm saying to you that they could not get access to the point in time data. They couldn't get into the system to know that information. And so I do hope that you'll share that with the people that you are serving and supporting and protecting, that wouldn't happen.
We have one more question, but I do want to add to that. It is actually in policy and procedure. It's not just a thing that we don't give this information to law enforcement. It is written into policy and procedure. And we cannot and would not give information to law enforcement from the point in time count or from the HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System. So, for instance, if you are getting assessed for a housing program and you are doing that coordinated entry assessment, we call it a VI SPDAT. Has anybody heard that term, the SPDAT? Yeah, I'm seeing some nods. If you are doing one of those assessments, April might see it because she has access to the system. Sherry might see it because she has access to the system. I actually don't have access to that system. I ask people to pull reports for me. I won't even see it. Chair Beckman does not have access to that system. She is not a licensed user. She could probably be a licensed user, but she's not. And so she would not see that. Law enforcement agencies, law enforcement officials are not allowed to be licensed users. So for instance, the city of St. Pete actually has somebody who works as a social worker, you know, alongside the police assisting the homeless unit, the PATH unit, so that she can do assessments, so that she can get information, so that she can put information into the database, so that people can, you know, get into those programs and whatnot. But she has access. Her law enforcement counterparts do not, would not, and cannot. So I just really, really want to drive that home. really, really want to drive that home. We would get in a whole lot of trouble if we let law enforcement access that system. So we do have time for one more question. Jennifer, I know you had your hand up, so here we are.
So I just wanted to go off of what Gary was saying of why they stopped certain services and stuff because of drugs. What do you believe that, all law enforcement should be required to, a part of their training, attend, mental health courses and, trauma therapy and
Sure.
So do-
Empathy training.
Not only do I
empathy training?
Not only do I believe it, I am the chair for Pinellas County for all of law enforcement for crisis intervention team training. My agency does that. I've been the chair of that committee in Pinellas County for 18 years. We train 40 police officers every other month, so 6 times a year. We're training somewhere around 200 to 300 officers from every location, every law enforcement agency within Pinellas County. It's a week-long training, it's 40 hours, and it is specifically and exclusively training around when they get called to an individual, to a scene, to an incident, where individuals may be experiencing emotional crisis, that they are living without a home, that they have a mental health condition, that they have a substance use condition, that they have a degree, how to interact with those individuals. And the crisis intervention team training is an international program that the curriculum that we use is considered research supported best practice. The challenge with it is twofold. The international, CIT International, has encouraged that law enforcement agencies select officers to go to this training, so only a handful from each agency would go through the training. Presumably, it would be the officers who had an interest in the topic and wanted to be really good at it. Our local law enforcement agencies have decided that instead they want 100% of their officers trained, which is a good strategy. What it does, though, is there are in every class, so I attend every single class, I do every opening and have for all these years, and I do every closing of that training. And so every opening, I say to them, right, how many of you are voluntold to be here? How many of you are hostages? How many of you don't want to be here? You are told to be here, right? Mostly it's 90% of the room, they raise their hand, right? They were voluntold, they're hostages, they don't want to be there. What I can tell you though is that generally by Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, their attitude shifts. And by Friday, their evaluation will say, I'm so grateful that I came to this training. However, without the correct policies and leadership within their law enforcement agency, the skills will just simply die on the vine, right? They just won't go anywhere, right? And so so our motto with CIT actually is it's more than just training. And it is, it's more than just training. We have to believe it. We have to feel it. We have to, right? We have to believe it. And once we believe it, then we'll use the skills. And so, yes, I do believe in it. I think, and I've put my mouth I've made a point to do that training. I've done it for literally, I've been in position 19 years. I've done it for 18 of those 19 years. I've been in every training class. Because it is so important to me that we are training and teaching all of those things, compassion, understanding, and, it's interesting, many of these officers, they themselves have had their own experiences. Interestingly enough, they have their own experiences of all the things that we're talking about here. And many of them are very, very good. In fact, I would say the majority of them are very, very good, kind, they want to do the right thing. And then in every community, we have a handful of people in every discipline you can imagine, including law enforcement, who really give everybody a bad name because they've been inappropriate. So, but nonetheless, I appreciate your time. I want to allow you guys to get back to your agenda. I know you have a full one. I would like to come back as often as you would like me to come back and have various topics that I would hear you on and that I would be able to share with you on as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we would like for you to come back several times.
Yeah. Yes, I'd like to.
Give it on you and get your contact information.
Yes.
Train us,
Yeah, Yeah.
train me, I need the
Yeah.
training, I do a lot of practicing.
he does.
Love that. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, April, if you want, we can email it out.
Wait, okay, she'll email all my contact information,
Okay,
and we do have
awesome.
a training that I would love for you to be able to take, which is an 8-hour training. It is on crisis intervention, it's called mental health first aid, is what it's called. It's,
I
are
actually
you
did,
certified in mental health first aid? So it's an 8-hour class, we offer it for no cost, no charge. And so that too is on our website, we can send it out to everybody here. If you're interested in a mental health first aid class, we would love to have you.
Yeah.
But remember, the Teamsters want $5, you still only $5, can you do it? Sorry.
Jennifer,
Oh, I just had a quick comment. Joanne, the coordinator of the class, I mentioned to her that I feel like that class should be a requirement for law enforcement.
and it is, we are working so hard on that, Jennifer, it's too big of
She
a.
said she was gonna talk to
Yes,
Joanne about it.
too big of an answer, but we are working on that relative to every officer getting mental health first aid. We have a lot of municipalities, we have a lot of law enforcement agencies in Pinellas County, we have 23 of them.
Not all of them have to, so we have 24.
24, but when you include the VA, you include USF, we have 23 law enforcement agencies, yes, we do. Cause I train them, and so I happen to know, right, like, and they come in all, shapes and sizes and ranks, and they all get to make their own policies, they all have their own financial resources, some have very little resources, others have too much resources, right?
Yeah.
So, but we are working on that, just so you know, about mental health first aid. There is a mental health first aid very, very specific to our responders. And, but in any case, I would love for you all to be, to feel welcome to attend a mental health first aid class, with directions for living. It's at no cost. And I have the best instructors that ever lived.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And
And
Thank you.
seriously, if you didn't attend the mental health first aid that we did yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday. You really should sign up for their class through Directions for
Yeah.
Living. It is such an awesome educational opportunity, such a great opportunity to learn how to interact with your friends, your family, your neighbors, people in crisis a little bit better. And it doesn't hurt that having a professional certificate on your resume is a nice addition. Jennifer, congratulations, got her mental health first aid certificate yesterday. And that is awesome. That is awesome. So please, we will send out April's information, and we will send out the flyer for mental health first aid and register for that class. All right, next up on the agenda, we actually have a discussion about safe harbor.
Oh, joy.
Thank
Thank you, April. Okay.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April. Much appreciated.
very much.
Bye, April.
Bye-bye. Drive safe.
Where do we start?
Okey doke. So recently, very recently,
Very recently.
Gary and I went to Safe Harbor, and we met with Lieutenant Hayes, and we were given a tour. Now, eventually I let Lieutenant Hayes know that I've been there 4 times. Don't need the tour.
Yes.
Have some questions. He was great. Lieutenant Hayes was great. He's trying to make changes. He's working very hard to make some changes. And a few of them he's been able to do. However, there are people he answers to. And there is still someone in a position of authority that seems to be a thorn in everyone's side. And we've made it very clear how we feel about that. And that is one of the main reasons people do not, even though they're able to, do not return to Safe Harbor. I shared my experience with her. Barry shared his experience. And they're working on it. Does anybody have any questions about Safe Harbor, because we asked a lot of them. So if you have any questions, or you have a reason you don't go there when you can, we'd like to know, because we'd like to communicate with Lieutenant Page and let him know the feedback that we're getting in order for him to be able to implement changes.
I've been there 3 times, and I'm of the belief that you should not have a jail deferment program and a homeless emergency shelter in the same location. You're putting people that they're most vulnerable with some people that are really dangerous, that have been in prison for a long time. It's necessary for them to have that six. I'm gonna, in order to keep them in line, but these other people who ain't never been in jail don't understand that at all, and they're very vulnerable. I know that's a big problem, but that's something that should be addressed, because I don't think it works any other way.
Yeah.
You want to take that one, Gary?
Actually, I'll feel that one, that's the direction I'm gonna go.
Okay, so we get that. And Lieutenant Hayes and I actually did discuss that very thing. Safe Harbor is run by the Sheriff's Department. That's who owns it, operates it, pays for it, deals with it. They understand that it was designed to be a jail diversion program. However, because there are very few, 3 homeless shelters in Pinellas County?
Yeah.
Not near enough to accommodate the number of homeless we have. It was taken in consideration, and it was decided in the best interest of the public for Safe Harbor to also be a homeless shelter. An emergency homeless shelter was the thing at the time. There's no, right, there's no certain time of the day for intake. You can go there any day of the week and get in. You've got a place to sleep. You can take a shower. You can do your laundry. You get meals. Yes, they have case managers. Nothing like Pinellas Hope.
Yeah.
But they try. They work with what they have. A couple of them I have found are very nice people. They try hard. They're pretty good at what they do. But at a certain point, their hands are tied. So with that being the way it's designed, he's doing his best to implement changes to make it feel more like yes, there will be a jail diversion program in place, but he would like to see it run more like a shelter. There are rules in place that are for safety and for reasons. There are some rules in place they'd like to tweak a little.
Yeah.
But nothing is done overnight. Nothing is done overnight. And he can only work on the information he's provided with. Anybody else? Questions? Jennifer?
So my experience with Safe Harbor, again, like I said, was in August of 2021. And, some of the workers or officers, or I'm not sure what they're called, like to trigger, cause people to, come out of character on purpose. And I hope that has changed.
It has.
Yeah, and just, like I told Lieutenant Hayes when he was here, last meeting or the meeting before?
Meeting before, I think.
Meeting before about, like that 5 rules that's on the outside of the fence.
Mhm.
That number 5 actually should be number 1, where it talks about respect for each other. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely would love to be a part, like, to see change.
Yes. So the basic rules are the same. But I did notice when I walked through the front, the intake area, I didn't recognize a single uniform
That's a good,
other than him.
that's a good thing.
He was the only person on staff I recognized,
Yeah,
other than the case managers.
So they weren't in like the uniforms?
Yeah, they were. It just wasn't the people that used to be there.
If I can interact on this exact point, all the rental cops or the security officers and it was told to me in these words, bad apples are gone.
good.
Completely new staff. There is actual safe harbor staff there now. All right, I've heard fielded complaints about people saying that men can come and go out of the women's dorm. They don't feel safe in there. That is incorrect. The women's dorm is protected to the point where even when I sent Kat in there to check it out, because I wasn't gonna go in there to make the ladies feel uncomfortable. I deliberately hung out outside and tried to make it as inconspicuous as I could. It took less than 2 minutes for an officer to come up and go, sir, what are you doing here? What are you? I purposely did that to see how long it would take for them to
That's
react.
good.
They saw a guy on camera outside the woman's dorm, sent an officer up there to check it out. Places, I didn't go in the woman's dorm, you have to ask Kat about that, but it looks very clean from what I could see. And I had a couple complaints about the guys' dorms, but forgive me for saying this, but in my opinion, I just think the guys are being sloppy.
Right.
Lieutenant Hayes already took care of that the next day. Because I told him about what I'd seen and things were put in place that the very next day. Even pod 6, I'm sure everyone knows what pod 6 is. There's 3 times more porta johns out there. And they were cleaner than the inside bathrooms. You know, but they're totally different new staff now. There's even female staff members that are there, but no one, like for instance, if I stayed in book dorm 1, let's say Gary was in dorm 2, I can't hang outside his dorm door. There's signs up there and it's strictly enforced, not only between the women's dorm, but even the men's dorms.
Good.
I went into the men's dorm, and the only thing I found wrong with them was the bathroom. That was just people being people, and I'll leave it at that. But he already, I told him, I said, there's some way we could address this, and Hayes took it upon himself the very next day and got that corrected. And he had the drainage in pod 6. I know everyone's heard about it flooding out there in pod 6. He has city engineers looking into the floor plans about adding drains out there.
They've added more.
So he is working very hard at this, and you will actually see people with safe harbor staff on their shirts.
That's good.
And they're not officers, they are hired staff,
They're not allied.
male and female that work there.
Full-time employees.
And there's no rental
Yeah,
cops,
that's
they're
good.
all actual officers out there.
You can speak to someone for your mental health 7 days a week.
That's
Yes.
a very good thing. Yes.
They have
7
counselors
days a week.
on
That's
deck.
good.
And and if you're having a crisis, you're able to get access to them. There's been major improvements there. I'm constantly asked by people about safe harbor. What good is it if I tell them, yeah, my experience is 2 years ago. No, it's been recently. It's since our last meeting, Kat and I both were there. And
Yeah, I don't consider that an experience. Let me go stay there a week. And I'll get back to you. And as soon as I find someone to go undercover with me, it's a done deal.
Since-
I will go back in. I will go back in.
Send me a memo. Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
Disturbing stuff in here tonight. Um, And I'm not really sure, you know, what we can do. Status quo just can't stay, something has to change. You know, it's like, we're working within these confined, these confined boundaries that limit, options for people. And, you know, I'm one of those people that, you know, I'm always thinking to myself, well, how can we do things different? I mean, essentially what I'm thinking on the first topic of what the woman was talking about from Directions for Living and regarding the law that's now in place. Laws can be overturned.
If you do it at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laws can be challenged.
All right, ma'am, are we talking about safe harbor here?
Okay, so for safe harbor,
We're talking about safe harbor.
my whole thing
yeah,
with
stay
safe
on
harbor
topic.
is that if that is only one of 3 places where people can go, that's not acceptable. How can we, is there a way that, and I don't know, this is out of the scope of this meeting, but is there a way that the county, the city, whoever can petition whoever has the power of the purse to make more facilities available for the homeless? To research other locations, facilities that are more appropriate for homeless people to stay.
I think that's probably a topic that we should have set for another time. We try to stay on topic of what we're talking about, and there's other municipalities involved in the other setting up other places. But right now we're doing a explanation of what we found with the tour of Safe Harbor. We could explore that in other conversations. We can add that to agenda for another time. But we can only influence what we have influences in. Really not sure where to go with that. Hold on, ma'am. All right, now,
No, you're all good, thank you. As a member of the COC, you can join the advocacy committee. And I also happen to be a chair of the advocacy committee. And, you know, we've talked about having a strategic plan with some goals and a gap analysis to see where we need more services. And quite frankly, you know, we need more services everywhere. I mean, family shelter, children aging out of foster care, individuals, all that. But the advocacy committee is one that you can join. The meetings are virtual. You're welcome at any time. You can read the minutes. And that's something where we can talk about legislation. We just approved a letter at the board of directors meeting to send to our legislators who are in session now for all of 60 days about our needs. But yeah, I would encourage you to join the advocacy committee or reach out to me at any time and we can talk. Can't promise miracles, but we've got to use our voices, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
We can send out the schedule for the advocacy committee meeting as well via email. Y'all are gonna be getting a big, long email from Megan and I after this meeting. Be prepared.
Can we put her topic on the agenda for next month's meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Megan, can you make a note to add that as an agenda item next month? It's in the minutes.
Okay, so we can discuss it further.
Good work. law enforcement pamphlet update.
You want me to do it?
Well, I don't know anything.
That's okay, you're not on the agenda for this one, day. You want me to-
Okay, the COC Board of Directors reviewed and went over the law enforcement pamphlet that we approved here. And it's been sent to law enforcement for a final look over, so that way they can go over it deeply and make sure that everything is in order. Other than that, I get a feeling it's gonna be approved, long as law enforcement gives it the final thumbs up. So that's, as far as that is where we're at on that, but so far, it was discussed thoroughly in the board of directors. I personally did a lot of speaking on it, and you know, that we had to run it through the sheriff's department for a final, you know, check out, just to make sure that we have all our i's dotted and our t's crossed, make sure there wasn't gonna be any conflict legally with what's on it. But other than that, we're just waiting to hear back from them. And I'm hoping to put some of these in y'all's hands and let's send you out as advocates talking to people. Because our networking, because who we know is homeless, will cover a lot more people than just putting some volunteers out there. 2 friends, so 2 friends, so 2, it goes like ripples on a pool. And we'll get the word out a whole lot quicker and a whole lot more efficiently by doing it that way. But as far as I know, and then correct me if I'm wrong, we're good so far. We're just waiting for the final thumbs up from law enforcement, checking the legality of it.
And I will add to that, the board of directors, upon reviewing this pamphlet, wanted us to send it to law enforcement to get that feedback, to make sure that not advice, because we're not giving legal advice, but the best practices that were put into that pamphlet by this committee jive with what law enforcement see every day, because they really wanted to make sure that we weren't going to cause any issues for folks that maybe we didn't foresee. Because I don't know about y'all, I'm not a police officer, and I don't see through the eyes of a police officer every single day. So that was really the purpose of that, was just to make sure that it jived with that it didn't cause any additional, kerfuffles that we just hadn't foreseen. So like Gary said, I do fully expect this to come back with a printed version very soon.
Like, at the meeting as well, it doesn't appear that they actually want you to see it just so that restrict what's on it. It doesn't appear that they want to actually refrain from you knowing your rights, just that they want to make sure everything is there, that it's done correctly. It's not that they want to, let's start from scratch, take all the rights on, no. They want to make sure it's done the right, that you guys have the information and that any actual interaction with them goes smoothly.
The whole purpose of that pamphlet was to make sure that we as homeless know our rights. That's all I wanted to accomplish, is to make sure everybody out here knows their rights. And if officers know that, maybe they'll get with the program.
Yeah.
And it's a job well done.
Good stories.
Anyone have any good news stories? Is it public comment time? You're grinning awful hard, Abraham.
You got her. You got her. I was gonna do it for you. You got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Just, one, I did complete the mental health first training. And received and then, the fact that, the COC did look as far as the membership, flyers, that the stakeholders was changed to community members, and I'm very grateful for that. I was a very big advocate for that, and I pushed it, and squeaky wheel gets the oil. And, I just wanted to say that, because, and so by the time I come back next, for the next meeting, I will have some printed, for people and get out.
Good job, Jen.
Good
Good
job.
job.
You guys have a great night. I have to go.
I gotta go.
I just wanted to say that you guys are, first of all, it's been, very informative to be here tonight. I'm glad I came. I'll do all my best to come to the next meeting as well, but, with Gary and, Michael, you have great leadership here in this, for this committee. Michael in particular has been looped in on a big string of emails for the last couple of months, doing work and giving feedback, and Gary is at every meeting and is a strong advocate. He was at good governance meetings. He's just very, very visible and very engaged and very knowledgeable. And, I really appreciate your leadership. And you are new to me, Kat. I don't know if it's Kathleen or Catherine or.
It's Kat.
Is it Kat? But I appreciate your candor and your feedback on Safe Harbor. I've toured Safe Harbor 3 or 4 times as well and asked questions and feel confident. I like the good news that you shared today, and I think there are some positive things just happening.
There have been.
That's really great.
But then again, you know, there's a difference between taking a tour from the powers that
Yes,
be
ma'am.
and actually being
Living
there.
that. I think you're right about an undercover. Let's go for a few nights and
You
really
wanna
see
go?
what happens.
You wanna
I
go
I
in?
could do it this summer. This summer I'll do
We'll
it.
just go for like 5 days.
I've
been trying.
2, maybe 3.
Okay, let's shoot for 3.
Okay.
Can I share good news? I'm not gonna use names because it's not my story to tell, but have y'all noticed that there's somebody who's not here, and it is because she got an apartment in Tampa and is not joining us today because she is officially housed, so we might not see her or her puppies anytime
Jennifer.
soon, but I'm so happy to hear that she officially has a home in Tampa, and I feel that's wonderful. I'm gonna miss that puppy. I brought so much dog food. If anybody needs dog food, go ahead and take it.
Jennifer and Bubba.
Yeah. There's for her.
All right. 1:00, we have went through everything on our agenda. We had a very informative meeting. We'd like to thank again, with Kathleen and April for coming here and seeing what we're about, what we discuss each week, what we go over and our frustrations and our successes that we have of late in particular. Yeah. So that being said, I will be closing and adjourning the meeting and look forward to seeing you all next month.
All right. Thank you, Michael. It was a great meeting.